3 months ago, Detective Marcus Chen found an abandoned Rolls-Royce at the bottom of Clearwater Lake. Inside, a positive pregnancy test, a burner phone with 47 missed calls from the same number, and a single bullet hole through the driver's seat. But no body, no blood, and the car belonged to Elena Volkov, wife of the most dangerous Mafia boss on the East Coast. What the police didn't know was that this wasn't a murder. It was the greatest disappearing act in criminal history. And I should know, because I'm Elena, and this is how I made the man who betrayed me wish he'd never been born. But before I tell you how I vanished, you need to understand how I became invisible while standing right beside him. My name is Elena Volkov, and for 5 years, I was the perfect Mafia wife. I wore the right dresses, smiled at the right people, kept my mouth shut during business meetings in our home. I transformed from Elena Rodriguez, a third-year medical student with dreams of becoming a surgeon, into Mrs. Dmitri Volkov, ornamental wife of New York's most feared crime lord. I met Dmitri at a hospital fundraiser. I was serving champagne to pay for textbooks. He was donating $5 million to build a new cardiac wing. When our eyes met across that ballroom, I should have seen the danger. Instead, I saw a man who looked at me like I was the only person in the room. 3 months of whirlwind romance, expensive dinners, private jets. He never told me what he really did. I convinced myself he was just a businessman with eccentric associates who wore too many gold chains. I learned the truth on our wedding night. "Elena," he said, holding my hand on the balcony of our honeymoon suite in Santorini, "I need you to understand something about the life you've chosen. I'm not a good man. I've done things that would make you run screaming. But I will never, ever let anyone hurt you. You are mine to protect." He told me everything that night. The drug trafficking, the protection rackets, the bodies. I should have annulled the marriage the next morning. But I was already in love with him. And foolishly, I thought love could reform a monster. For 4 years, I convinced myself I was doing good from the inside. I used Dmitri's money to fund free clinics. I helped families in our neighborhood when immigration came knocking. I told myself I was balancing the scales. Then I got pregnant. The night I found out, I was terrified and thrilled in equal measure. I'd been feeling sick for weeks, exhausted beyond reason. The test came back positive at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Dmitri was in a meeting in his study with his lieutenants Viktor, Sergei, and Alexia, discussing a shipment from Colombia. I waited outside his study for 3 hours, clutching that little plastic stick, rehearsing how I'd tell him. When the men finally left, I knocked softly. "Dmitri, can I come in?" He looked up from his desk, tired but warm. "Solnishko, you should be sleeping. It's late." Solnishko, little son, that's what he called me. "I have something to tell you," I said, stepping inside and closing the door. I handed him the test without a word. I watched his face transform, the hard edges softened. His eyes, those cold gray eyes that had stared down rivals and traitors, filled with tears. "Elena," he whispered, "a baby? We're having a baby?" He picked me up and spun me around, laughing like a child. We made love that night with a tenderness I'd almost forgotten existed between us. He fell asleep with his hand on my still flat stomach, whispering promises to our unborn child in Russian. That was the last perfect moment of my life. Her name was Isabella Moretti. She arrived in New York 6 weeks after I learned I was pregnant, though I didn't know about her existence for another month after that. Isabella was the daughter of Marco Moretti, head of the Italian syndicate in Chicago. She was 24 years old, 5 years younger than me, gorgeous in that effortless way that required a team of people to maintain. Honey blonde hair, legs that went on forever, and a face that belonged on magazine covers. She came to negotiate a territory agreement between the Italians and the Russians. That's what Dmitri told me when he mentioned she'd be in town. "It's just business, Elena. Marco wants to expand into our territory in Queens. His daughter is handling the negotiations. She has an MBA from Harvard, apparently. It should be straightforward." The first time I met Isabella was at a dinner party we hosted at our estate in the Hamptons. I was 12 weeks pregnant, just starting to show. I wore a flowing navy dress that concealed my small bump, and I'd spent 2 hours getting ready. Isabella walked in wearing a red dress that probably cost more than a car, and every man in the room, including my husband, stopped talking mid-sentence. "Mrs. Volkov," she said, extending her hand to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Your home is absolutely stunning. Dmitri has told me so much about you." Dmitri. Not Mr. Volkov, not your husband, just Dmitri. "Has he?" I replied, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm, competitive. "That's funny. He's barely mentioned you at all." The smile stayed on her face, but something flickered in her eyes. Challenge accepted. That dinner was the beginning of the end. I watched them throughout the evening. The way Dmitri laughed at her jokes, really laughed, not the polite chuckle he gave his associates. The way he leaned in when she spoke, as if her words were precious secrets. The way his hand lingered a moment too long when he passed her a glass of wine. "You're being paranoid," I told myself. "It's the pregnancy hormones." But women know, we always know. The business negotiations that should have taken a week stretched into a month, then 6 weeks, then 2 months. Isabella rented a penthouse in Manhattan. She became a regular fixture at our meetings, our dinners, our social events. She had opinions on everything: art, politics, business strategy. And Dmitri listened to her in a way he'd never listened to me. "What do you think, Isabella?" became his favorite phrase. I started to disappear in my own home. I was 16 weeks pregnant when I first confronted him. "Dmitri, why is Isabella still here? I thought the negotiations were finished." We were in our bedroom. He was getting dressed for another dinner without me. I was too tired, too nauseous, too pregnant to be appropriate company, apparently. "There are complications with the Brooklyn ports," he said, not meeting my eyes in the mirror. "She's helping us navigate the Italian connections there. It's complex, Elena. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand. 4 years of marriage, and suddenly I wouldn't understand business that happened in our own home? I'm not stupid, Dmitri. I never said you were." He finished buttoning his shirt. "But you're pregnant and stressed, and I don't want you worrying about business matters. Focus on the baby. That's what's important." He kissed my forehead like I was a child and left. That night, I stood at our bedroom window and watched his car pull away. I placed my hand on my growing belly and made a promise to my unborn child. I would protect you from this world, even if I had to burn it down to do it. At 18 weeks pregnant, I hired a private investigator. His name was James Sullivan, a former FBI agent who specialized in infidelity cases. I paid him cash from my personal account, money from my trust fund that Dmitri didn't know about. "I need to know if my husband is having an affair," I told him at a coffee shop in Queens. Far from anywhere, someone might recognize me. "Mrs. Volkov," James said carefully, "are you sure you want to know? Sometimes ignorance is bliss." "I'm pregnant," I interrupted, "and if he's betraying me, I need to know before this child is born. I need to plan." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "It'll take me 2 weeks, maybe 3. It took him 4 days. James called me on a Thursday afternoon while Dmitri was at a meeting in the city. I was in the nursery we'd been decorating, painting clouds on the ceiling. "Oh, Mrs. Volkov, you need to sit down." I sat. "They've been having an affair for 6 weeks. It started during a business trip to Atlantic City. They're not even being particularly discreet anymore. They meet at her penthouse 3 times a week. Last night they had dinner at Masseria in the village. He had his hand on her thigh the entire meal." The paintbrush fell from my hand, leaving a blue streak across the hardwood floor. "Are you certain?" My voice sounded strange, distant. "I have photos, video. Do you want me to send them?" "Yes." The photos arrived on my phone 60 seconds later. Dmitri and Isabella leaving her building, his arm around her waist. Dmitri and Isabella in his car, her hand on his face. Dmitri and Isabella kissing in the back of a restaurant, his hand tangled in her hair. In every photo, he looked at her the way he used to look at me. I sat in that half-finished nursery until the sun went down, staring at those photos, feeling my baby move inside me for the first time. Little flutters like butterfly wings. That night, Dmitri came home at midnight smelling like her perfume. He kissed me on the cheek and went straight to bed. I slept in the nursery, on the floor, with my hand on my belly and murder in my heart. I confronted him the next morning at breakfast. "Who is she to you?" Dmitri looked up from his coffee, confused. "Who?" "Isabella." I placed my phone on the table between us, the photos visible. "Who is she to you?" I watched the color drain from his face. Then instead of shame, I saw anger. "You had me followed?" His voice was ice. "You hired someone to spy on me?" "Answer the question, Dmitri. Are you sleeping with her?" He stood up, the chair scraping violently against the floor. "You don't understand what you're talking about. This is business." "Business?" I stood too, my voice rising. "Is fucking her in her penthouse business? Is taking her to restaurants where you proposed to me business?" His jaw clenched. We stared at each other across the breakfast table like strangers. "Elena, listen to me." "No, you listen to me." I was shaking now, tears streaming down my face. "I am carrying your child, Dmitri, and you're throwing away our family for some 24-year-old with daddy's money and a Harvard degree? It's not like that." "Then what is it like? Explain it to me so I can understand, since apparently I'm too stupid to understand anything anymore." He ran his hand through his hair, and for the first time since I'd known him, Dmitri Volkov looked lost. "I don't know," he said finally. "I don't know what it is, but I can't stop." Those words hit me harder than any fist could have. I can't stop. Not "I'm sorry," not "I'll end it," not "you and our baby are more important." I can't stop. "Get out," I whispered. "Elena, get out!" I screamed at this time, and I saw him flinch. "Get out of this house. Go to her. Since you can't stop, then don't. Go. Be with her. But don't you dare come back here and pretend to love me. Don't you dare touch me. Don't you dare touch our baby." He left. He actually left. I stood in that kitchen, 20 weeks pregnant with his child, and watched my husband choose his mistress over his family. That was the moment Elena Volkov died, and someone much more dangerous was born. Did Elena ever confront Isabella? What was Dmitri's family reaction? And what was growing inside Elena besides that baby? Because it wasn't just heartbreak. It was a plan so perfect, so calculated, that by the time Dmitri realized what was happening, it would be too late. Part 2, coming up. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button because this story is about to get dark. I didn't eat for 2 days after Dmitri left. I sat in our bedroom, my bedroom now, and I planned. Between waves of nausea and crushing heartbreak, I planned. Dr. Sarah Chen, my obstetrician, called me on day 3. "Elena, you missed your appointment. Is everything okay?" I looked at myself in the mirror. I'd lost weight everywhere except my belly. Dark circles under my eyes, hair unwashed. I looked like a ghost. "No," I said simply. "Nothing is okay. Come in today, 3 p.m. I'm squeezing you in." At the appointment, Dr. Chen took one look at me and closed the exam room door. "Talk to me. What's going on?" I told her everything. The affair, the confrontation, how Dmitri had been staying at a hotel for 3 days and hadn't called once to check on me or our baby. "Elena," Dr. Chen said carefully, "your blood pressure is dangerously high. You're showing signs of severe stress. This isn't just bad for you, it's life-threatening for your baby. You're at risk for preeclampsia, preterm labor, placental abruption. Do you understand what I'm saying?" "I understand. You need to reduce your stress immediately, which means I need to leave him." I said it calmly like I was discussing the weather. Dr. Chen squeezed my hand. "I can't tell you what to do with your marriage, but as your doctor, I'm telling you that if you continue like this, you might not make it to full term, and if you do, your baby could have serious complications." I placed my hand on my belly. "What do I need to do?" "First, I want you on modified bed rest for the next week. Then I want you to consider your options. You have resources, Elena. Use them. Protect yourself and your baby." Resources. She had no idea what resources I actually had. Because being married to a mafia boss for 5 years teaches you things, like where the money is hidden, where the bodies are buried literally, who owes favors, and most importantly, who wants to see Dmitri Volkov taken down. Rod. I left that appointment with a prescription for blood pressure medication and a prescription for revenge. My first call was to Viktor Petrov. Viktor was Dmitri's second in command, his most trusted lieutenant. He'd been with the Volkov family for 30 years, since before Dmitri was born. He'd served under Dmitri's father, the legendary Konstantin Volkov, and had helped Dmitri build his empire after Konstantin's death. Viktor was also my friend. He'd taught me Russian curse words. He'd walk me down the aisle when my own father refused to attend my wedding. He was supposed to be this baby's godfather. I called him from a burner phone I'd bought at a convenience store. Princessa, Viktor answered. Princess. That was a nickname for me. Where are you? Dmitri has everyone looking for you. Viktor, I need to see you. Alone. And you can't tell Dmitri. Silence. Please, I added, it's about the baby. An hour later, we met at a small Russian tea house in Brooklyn, the kind of place where old men played chess and nobody asked questions. Viktor looked older than his 60 years as he sat down across from me. His weathered face was creased with worry. You look terrible, he said bluntly. I'm 22 weeks pregnant and my husband is sleeping with Isabella Moretti. How should I look? Viktor's jaw tightened. You know? Everyone knows, Viktor. I'm the only one who was stupid enough not to see it earlier. How long have you known? He wouldn't meet my eyes. 6 weeks. And you didn't tell me. It was not my place. Bullshit. I leaned forward. You were my friend. You are my friend. And you let me walk around like an idiot while my husband fucked that Italian princess. Elena, does the Moretti family know? Is this some kind of alliance marriage they're planning? Am I being cast aside for political convenience? Viktor shook his head. No. Marco Moretti is furious. He sent Isabella here to handle business, not to break up Dmitri's marriage. This is personal, between them. Dmitri is thinking with his cock instead of his brain, and it's going to cost him everything. Good, I said coldly. I want it to cost him everything. Viktor studied me carefully. What are you planning, Princessa? I pulled out a folder from my bag and slid it across the table. I'm planning to disappear, but before I do, I'm going to make sure Dmitri Volkov loses everything he holds dear. His money, his power, his respect, his empire. And I'm going to do it so perfectly that he'll never see me coming. Viktor opened the folder. Inside were documents I'd been compiling for 5 years. Insurance, I'd always called it. Bank account numbers. Names of corrupt politicians on Dmitri's payroll. Details of shipments. Locations of safe houses. Information that, in the right hands, could bring down the entire Volkov organization. Mother of God, Viktor whispered. You've been documenting everything. I'm not stupid, Viktor. I'm a doctor's daughter. We keep good records. Now I need to know, are you loyal to Dmitri or are you loyal to the Volkov family? Because right now, those are 2 different things. Viktor closed the folder and looked at me with something like respect. What do you need? And that's how I recruited my first ally. Over the next 2 weeks, I assembled my team. Viktor brought me Alexei Sokolov, the family's accountant. Alexei was a nervous man with thick glasses who'd been quietly skimming money from the organization for years, waiting for the day he could disappear. I offered him immunity and a new life if he'd help me drain Dmitri's accounts. How much can you move without triggering alerts? I asked him in Viktor's basement, surrounded by ledgers and laptop screens. Alexei pushed his glasses up. Conservatively, 30 million over 3 months without raising suspicion. 45 million if we're aggressive. But Mrs. Volkov, if we're caught, we won't be caught. Because by the time anyone notices, I'll be gone and so will you. New identity, new country, new life. But I need that money to disappear in a way that can't be traced back to me or to you. Where do you want it to go? I handed him a list of offshore accounts I'd set up over the past week. Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Singapore. Split it between these. Small transfers, different amounts. Make it look like regular business expenses. Next came Dmitri's cousin, Elena Volkova. Elena was 45, twice divorced, and absolutely despised Isabella Moretti. She'd been at that first dinner party and had watched Isabella monopolize Dmitri all evening. That little Italian whore thinks she can walk into our family and take what she wants, Elena said when I met her at an art gallery at Chelsea. Your husband is a fool, Elena, but you're smart. I can see it in your eyes. You're planning something. I need information about the Moretti family, specifically about Isabella. Elena smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I know things that would make Marco Moretti disown his precious daughter if they got out. Tell me. Isabella wasn't always the perfect Harvard princess. 6 years ago, when she was 18, she got involved with a man in Chicago. A jazz musician, black, no money, no family connections. Marco found out and had the man beaten within an inch of his life. He paid the man $500,000 to disappear and sent Isabella to rehab for 6 months, not for drugs, but to correct her thinking. She came out a different person, colder, more calculating. She's been trying to prove herself to her father ever since. I processed this information. So she's with Dmitri to prove something to her father? To show she can land a powerful man? Exactly, and Dmitri is too blinded by her youth and beauty to see that he's being used. Do you have proof? Photos? Documentation? Better. I have the jazz musician. He's alive and willing to talk. For the right price. Name it. Tell me your plan first. I told her everything. The disappearance, the money, the downfall. When I finished, Elena was smiling. You're not just leaving him, Elena. You're destroying him. I like it. I'm in. On day 15 of our separation, Dmitri finally came home. I was in the nursery painting the last wall when I heard his footsteps in the hallway. My heart started racing, but I kept painting. Steady strokes, calm breathing. Elena, I didn't turn around. What do you want, Dmitri? I want to talk about us, about the baby, about everything. There's nothing to talk about. Another stroke of pain. You made your choice. I didn't choose. You left. Now I turned to face him. I asked you to leave, and you went running straight to her. You've been staying at the Peninsula Hotel for 2 weeks. Room 1807. She's visited you 11 times. You've had dinner together 8 times. You went to the opera last Wednesday. La Bohème. How was it? His face went pale. You're having me followed again. I'm protecting my interests. You're still my husband. You're the father of my child. I need to know what you're doing, who you're with, what plans you're making. I'm not making any plans. Aren't you? I set down the paintbrush. Dmitri, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't see what's happening? Isabella is pushing you to legitimize your relationship. She wants you to divorce me and marry her. She wants to be the next Mrs. Volkov. And you're actually considering it. That's not. Don't lie to me. My voice cracked. Don't you dare lie to me anymore. I know everything, Dmitri. I know about the apartment you're looking at for her in Tribeca. I know about the meetings with your lawyer to discuss divorce options. I know about the prenup he's drafting for your next marriage. Dmitri's silence was admission enough. So here's what's going to happen, I continued, my voice steady now. You're going to make a choice. Really make a choice. Me or her, your child or your mistress, your family or your midlife crisis. But you don't get both. You don't get to have me sitting at home raising your baby while you play house with a 24-year-old. Choose. He looked at me for a long moment. I could see the war in his eyes, your duty versus desire, family versus passion. Then he said the words that changed everything. I need time to think. I laughed. Actually laughed. You need time to think? Dmitri, I'm 6 months pregnant with your baby. We've been married for 5 years, and you need time to think about whether you want to stay with your family? Elena, please, get out. I just need to figure out. Get out! I screamed at this time, and I felt something inside me shift. The baby kicked hard, protesting my stress. Get out of this house. You have 24 hours to decide, me or her. After that, I make the choice for you." He left. For the second time in 2 weeks, Dmitri Volkov chose to walk away from his pregnant wife. That night, I called Viktor. "It's time," I told him. "Accelerate the timeline. I want to be gone in 2 weeks." "Are you sure?" "The baby. The baby is why I'm doing this. I won't raise my child in this house with this man in this life. I'm done, Viktor. I'm done being Mrs. Volkov. Now I'm going to become someone Dmitri Volkov will spend the rest of his life trying to find." Dmitri's 24 hours came and went. No call, no visit, no choice. On day 3, Viktor sent me a photo. Dmitri and Isabella having lunch at Balthazar in Soho. She was wearing a ring. Not an engagement ring, not yet, but a promise ring. A diamond on her right hand that probably cost more than most people's houses. They looked happy. I stared at that photo for 10 minutes, feeling my baby move inside me, feeling the last piece of my heart that still belonged to Dmitri Volkov turn to ice. Then I called my lawyer. "Richard, it's Elena Volkov. I need you to draw up divorce papers. I want full custody of the baby. I want the house in the Hamptons. I want alimony that would make Jeff Bezos weep, and I want it ready to file in 1 week." "Elena, are you sure? Divorcing a man like Dmitri Volkov? Do it. And reach out. I need something else. I need you to help me legally change my name and my baby's name. I want us to have no connection to the Volkov family whatsoever. That's unusual. Dmitri will fight it. Let him. By the time the papers are served, I'll be gone anyway." Next, I called Dr. Chen. "I need to deliver early," I told her. "Elena, you're only 24 weeks. That's extremely premature." "Not now. At 36 weeks. I know it's technically early, but babies born at 36 weeks do fine, right?" "Usually, yes, but I need you to schedule a C-section for exactly 36 weeks. Tell Dmitri if he asks that it's medically necessary. High blood pressure, stress, whatever excuse you need to give. But I need a specific date and time for delivery. Can you do that?" "Elena, what's going on?" "I'm leaving him, Dr. Chen, and I need to time everything perfectly. Please, trust me." There was a long pause, then, "I'll schedule it for December 15th. That gives us 12 weeks. Elena, be careful." "I will, thank you." The pieces were falling into place. Alexei had moved $23 million so far, with more transfers scheduled weekly. Viktor had assembled a team of loyal men who were ready to help me disappear. Irina had made contact with Isabella's ex-lover and was gathering evidence. Richard was preparing legal documentation that would make Dmitri's life hell. And me? I was preparing for the greatest vanishing act in criminal history. But first, I needed to attend one more family gathering, or one more dinner, where I'd sit at Dmitri's table and play the role of dutiful wife. Because I needed everyone to see me. I needed them to remember Elena Volkov as weak, heartbroken, defeated. So they'd never suspect what was coming. The Volkov family gathering happened once a month at the estate. 30 people, uncles, aunts, cousins, associates, and their families, all coming together to eat, drink, and discuss business. This month's gathering was on October 30th. I was 26 weeks pregnant, showing significantly now. I wore a black maternity dress and the pearl necklace Dmitri had given me on our wedding night. Dmitri arrived late, and he arrived alone. Isabella wasn't invited. Even Dmitri wasn't stupid enough to bring his mistress to a family dinner. I watched him enter the dining room and our eyes met across the table. I saw guilt there, but not enough. Never enough. Dinner was awkward. Conversations died when I entered rooms. People who'd known me for years suddenly couldn't meet my eyes. Everyone knew. Everyone. Dmitri's mother, Katerina Volkova, a woman who'd never liked me because I wasn't Russian, actually looked at me with pity. That's how bad it was. When Katerina Volkova pities you, you've hit rock bottom. Halfway through dinner, Dmitri's younger brother, Sergei, got drunk and said what everyone was thinking. "So, brother, when are you going to make an honest woman out of Isabella? Everyone knows you're—" The sound of Dmitri's fist hitting the table silenced him. "Enough," Dmitri said quietly, dangerously. "That's enough." But Sergei was too drunk to stop. What? Everyone's thinking it. Your wife is sitting right here, pregnant with your kid, and you're off playing house with some Italian princess? Dmitri stood up so fast his chair fell backwards. I said enough. Or what? You'll kill me? You'll kill your own brother for speaking the truth? That you're throwing away your family for a piece of... I stood up. Every eye in the room turned to me. Excuse me, I said calmly. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to lie down. I walked out with my head high, my hand on my belly, every inch the dignified wife. Viktor followed me into the hallway. Princessa. I'm fine, I said. Actually, that was perfect. Did you record it? Viktor held up his phone. Every word. Good. Make sure that video gets to Marco Moretti. Let him hear what everyone thinks of his daughter. Let him see how she's destroying a family. That should help with our plans. Viktor smiled. You're terrifying, you know that? I'm a woman protecting her child, I said. There's nothing more terrifying than that. Elena wasn't just planning to leave. She was planning to erase herself from existence while simultaneously burning Dmitri's empire to the ground. But what she didn't know was that Isabella was planning something too. Something that would force Elena to accelerate her timeline and risk everything, including her baby's life. Part 3 is where things get insane. Don't click away. Hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next will blow your mind. 3 days after the family dinner, I almost died. I was driving home from a prenatal appointment, a routine checkup, everything fine with the baby, when a black SUV ran me off the road. It happened on the Hutchinson River Parkway, a relatively empty stretch, at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. I was in the left lane, going exactly the speed limit, listening to classical music and thinking about nursery furniture. The SUV came out of nowhere, swerving into my lane from behind. I jerked the wheel to avoid being hit, but it followed. It rammed my rear bumper hard enough to make my teeth rattle. What the hell? I grabbed my phone, trying to call 911 while keeping control of the car. The SUV rammed me again. This time my car fishtailed. I dropped the phone. 26 weeks, pregnant. If I crashed, if the airbag deployed, if there was trauma to my abdomen, I pressed the accelerator, trying to outrun them, but the SUV was faster, more powerful. It pulled alongside me, and I made the mistake of looking over. The driver was wearing a mask, but in the passenger seat, visible for just a moment, I saw blonde hair. Isabella. They rammed me from the side, and this time I lost control. My car went off the road, down an embankment, and crashed into a tree. The last thing I remember was the airbag deploying, the smell of burning rubber, and my hands instinctively covering my belly as everything went black. I woke up in a hospital room with Viktor sitting beside my bed. The baby, I gasped, trying to sit up. Is the baby alive? Viktor said quickly, pressing me back down. The baby is alive, stressed but alive. They did an ultrasound. Everything looks okay. But Elena, you need to stay calm. Your blood pressure is through the roof. I looked down. I was in a hospital gown, connected to monitors. The steady beep, beep, beep of my baby's heartbeat filled the room. The most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. What happened? After the crash? A truck driver saw you go off the road and called 911. You've been unconscious for 6 hours. You have a concussion, bruised ribs, and lacerations on your arms. But you and the baby are alive, Princessa. That's what matters. It wasn't an accident. I grabbed his hand. Viktor, someone tried to kill me. The SUV, it rammed me deliberately, and Isabella was in the passenger seat. I saw her. Viktor's face hardened. Are you certain? I'm certain. She wants me dead, Viktor. She wants me out of the way so she can have Dmitri completely. No messy divorce, no custody battles, no pregnant ex-wife making things complicated. Just a tragic accident that leaves Dmitri free to marry her. If that's true, it is true. I tried to sit up again, wincing at the pain in my ribs. Where's Dmitri? Does he know I'm here? Viktor looked uncomfortable. He's on his way. When the hospital called him, he was with her, at her apartment. It took him 3 hours to get here. 3 hours. I'd almost died. His unborn child had almost died, and it took him 3 hours to leave his mistress's bed and come to the hospital. Viktor, we need to move up the timeline. Everything. I can't wait until December. I need to disappear now. You're injured. You're pregnant. You can't. I almost died today. If that truck driver hadn't seen me, if they'd come back to finish the job, I'd be dead. My baby would be dead. I'm not waiting around to give them another chance. The door opened, and Dmitri rushed in. He looked terrible, disheveled, unshaven, his shirt buttoned wrong. He came straight to my bedside and grabbed my hand. Elena, Christ, Elena, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Is the baby? I yanked my hand away. Don't touch me. He looked hurt. Actually hurt. Elena, please. I was terrified when I got the call. I thought I'd lost you. You didn't lose me, Dmitri. You threw me away. There's a difference. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed bitterly. You want to talk about fair? Your mistress tried to kill me today. The room went silent. Dmitri stared at me. What are you talking about? The accident wasn't an accident. I was run off the road by a black SUV, and Isabella was in the passenger seat. I saw her, Dmitri. Your girlfriend tried to murder your wife and your unborn child. That's insane. Isabella would never wouldn't she? I looked him dead in the eye. She's young, ambitious, and desperately trying to prove something to her father. You're her ticket to respect in the criminal underworld. But I'm in the way. As long as I'm alive, as long as I'm pregnant with your legitimate heir, she's just the mistress, the other woman. So she decided to eliminate the competition. Dmitri turned to Viktor. Is this possible? Viktor nodded slowly. We're investigating, but Elena saw what she saw. I'll talk to her, Dmitri said. I'll find out here. You'll do nothing, I said coldly. You'll stay away from me, you'll stay away from this baby, and you'll remember that you chose her. You chose this. Whatever happens next is on you. A nurse came in then, checking my vitals and asking Dmitri to leave so I could rest. After he left, Viktor leaned close. What do you need? I need to disappear in 1 week. Can you make that happen? 1 week? Elena, that's 1 week, Viktor, or I'll be dead in 2. And so will my baby. Over the next 48 hours, everything accelerated. Alexei moved the remaining $27 million in a series of rapid transfers that would take Dmitri's accountants months to untangle. By the time they figured it out, the money would be laundered through so many shell companies and offshore accounts that it would be effectively untraceable. Irina arranged a meeting with Isabella's ex-lover, Marcus Washington. He was 32 now, a successful jazz musician in Detroit, and he had a story to tell. Isabella told me she loved me, Marcus said in the video Irina recorded. She said she didn't care about her family's money or connections. She said we'd run away together. Then one night, 3 of Marco Moretti's men showed up at my apartment and beat me unconscious. When I woke up in the hospital, Marco was sitting by my bed. He said if I ever contacted Isabella again, they'd kill my mother and my sister. Then he handed me a check for $500,000 and told me to leave Chicago and never come back. I took the money because I had to, but I never forgot what they did to me. Would you be willing to testify to this publicly? Irina asked. If it would hurt Marco Moretti? Absolutely. Perfect. Viktor hired a woman named Sophia Chen, no relation to my doctor, who was a specialist in creating new identities. She was expensive and discreet, with a client list that included whistleblowers, mob informants, and people fleeing abusive relationships. Elena Volkov needs to cease to exist, I told her in Viktor's basement. I need a complete identity passport, driver's license, social security number, credit history, everything. And it needs to be bulletproof. If Dmitri Volkov comes looking, he can't find even a trace. Sophia nodded. What about the baby? You'll need documentation for them too. The baby will be born as my new identity. Elena Volkov's baby died with Elena Volkov. That's complicated. If you give birth in a hospital, I won't. I'm having a home birth. I have a private midwife lined up, someone who understands discretion. No hospital records. No birth certificate tied to the Volkov name. And if something goes wrong during delivery, I met her eyes. Then I die as Elena Volkov. At least my baby will be free. On day 4 after the accident, I did something crazy. I went to see Isabella. Viktor and 2 of his men drove me to her Tribeca penthouse. My ribs still hurt, my head still ached, but I needed to look her in the eye. "Mrs. Volkov," the doorman said nervously when I walked in the lobby. "Miss Moretti isn't expecting." "I don't care what she's expecting. Tell her Elena Volkov is here to see her. Tell her if she doesn't come down in 5 minutes, I'll come up." 3 minutes later, Isabella stepped out of the elevator. She was wearing yoga pants and a cashmere sweater, her hair in a casual ponytail. She looked young, fresh, beautiful. Everything I didn't feel right now. "Elena," she said, her voice carefully neutral. "This is a surprise. Is it? After you tried to kill me?" Her expression didn't change. "I don't know what you're talking about." Black SUV, Hutchinson River Parkway, Wednesday afternoon. "You were in the passenger seat when they ran me off the road. I think the concussion is making you paranoid. Was it Dmitri's idea?" I stepped closer, ignoring the pain in my ribs. "Or was it all you? Did you think that if I died, you'd have a clear path to being the next Mrs. Volkov?" Isabella's mask slipped for just a moment, and I saw cold calculation in her eyes. "Even if what you're saying is true, which it's not, you can't prove anything, and Dmitri would never believe you over me." "Probably not. He's too blinded by your perfect skin and tight body to see the sociopath underneath. But here's what you don't understand, Isabella. I've been documenting everything for 5 years. Every illegal deal, every corrupt official, every body. And now I have evidence linking you to attempted murder. So here's what's going to happen." I handed her a folder. Inside were printed screenshots, her text messages to a man named Kostya Ivanov, a known hitman, with discussions about removing obstacles and permanent solutions. Irina had hacked Isabella's phone 2 days ago. Isabella's face went white as she flipped through the pages. "Where did you get these?" "It doesn't matter where I got them. What matters is that I have copies in multiple locations. If anything happens to me, anything at all, these go straight to your father, to the FBI, and to every major news outlet in the country. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison, and your father will disown you before you're even convicted." "You're bluffing." "Am I? Call my bluff then. Try to kill me again. See what happens." I leaned in close. "Here's the thing, Isabella. You thought I was just some weak housewife you could eliminate. But I'm not weak. I'm the woman who survived 5 years married to Dmitri Volkov. I'm the woman who kept her mouth shut and her eyes open. And I'm the woman who's about to make both of you wish you'd never been born." I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Isabella, enjoy Dmitri while you can, because by the time I'm done with him, he'll have nothing left. No money, no power, no respect. Just you, the woman who destroyed his life. I'm sure that will be a very happy marriage." I walked out, leaving her standing in that lobby with the folder in her hands. Viktor was waiting in the car. "Did you get it?" I held up my phone. Every word. She admitted nothing, but her face told the whole story. And now she knows I'm not going quietly. "You're playing a dangerous game, Princessa." "No, Viktor. I'm ending the game, and I'm making sure I'm the only winner." That night, Dmitri showed up at the house. Our house, though it hadn't felt like our house in months. I was in the nursery again, because that's where I spent most of my time now, preparing a room for a baby that would never sleep there. "Elena, we need to talk." I didn't turn around. "Unless you're here to tell me you're ending things with Isabella and committing to our marriage, I have nothing to say to you. She said you threatened her today." Now I turned around and, "I didn't threaten her. I promised her. There's a difference. You can't go around accusing people of attempted murder without proof." "I have proof. I have her text messages to Kostya Ivanov. You know Kostya, don't you, Dmitri? The man you pay to make problems disappear? Isabella hired him to make me disappear. How does that make you feel? Knowing your girlfriend tried to murder your wife?" Dmitri's face was unreadable. I spoke to Kostya. He denies everything. Of course he does. You pay him enough to deny anything. But I saw Isabella's face when I showed her the evidence. She knows I have her. And now you know too. So what are you going to do about it, Dmitri? Are you going to protect your pregnant wife? Or are you going to protect your murderous mistress? He was quiet for a long time. Too long. I need to sort this out, he said finally. Sort it out? I laughed bitterly. Dmitri, there's nothing to sort out. She tried to kill me. She tried to kill your baby. And you're standing here telling me you need to sort it out, like we're discussing a scheduling conflict? Elena, please, get out of my house. It's our house. No, I said firmly. It's my house now. You moved out. You chose her. You don't get to come back here and pretend to be a husband and father when it's convenient for you. Get out. He left, again. But this time, as I watched his car pull away, I felt nothing. No heartbreak, no anger, just cold, calculated satisfaction. Because Dmitri had just made his final choice. And now I was free to make mine. I called an emergency meeting with my team. Viktor, Alexei, Irina, and Sophia gathered in Viktor's basement that night. I stood in front of them, 27 weeks pregnant, bruised and bandaged, but absolutely certain. We move in 3 days, I said. I want to be gone before Dmitri realizes what's happening. 3 days? Sophia looked alarmed. Elena, I need at least 2 weeks to finalize your new identity. You have 3 days. Work faster. The money isn't all moved yet, Alexei said nervously. I still have $8 million to transfer. Leave it. 50 million is enough. I'm not greedy. What about the evidence against Isabella? Irina asked. When do you want that released? Not yet. I'm saving that for later. After I've disappeared. I want Dmitri to think everything is fine, that I've accepted my situation, that I'm just another broken wife waiting for him to come home. Then when I'm gone and he can't find me, when he's torn apart his entire organization looking for me, that's when we release everything. That's when we destroy Isabella. That's when we destroy him. Viktor studied me carefully. You've changed, Princessa. A month ago, you were heartbroken. Now you're something else, something harder. I'm a mother now, I said simply, and I'll burn down the world to protect my child. Are you all with me? They looked at each other. Then one by one, they nodded. Good. Here's what happens next. My last night in the Volkov mansion, I walked through every room.